Hi, it's Vince back after a little break. Now we're going to have a quick look at some tomatoes. I realised that I mentioned tomatoes, planted tomatoes, said how good growing tomatoes are. Unfortunately, I haven't shown you how to look after tomatoes. So now, let's remedy that. Okay, my tomatoes I plant in a grow bag. Grow bags are reasonably cheap. They're made of compost that the nutrients wash out of relatively quickly. So after a few weeks you really need to start feeding your tomatoes. Your tomatoes will tell you when they want feeding. See that kind of little yellowy tone to the leaves? That means I'm a bit short of nitrogen, so I'd really like a little bit more. So that's great, that means I can do that. Some tomato fertiliser, or you can use your comfrey juice that you've made earlier out of the comfrey plants I've shown you. Either way, it will be fantastic and give them that little boost they need. Now, when we've got tomatoes, I'll kneel down here. I don't like growing them up canes because canes are always quite dangerous, and quite often you bend over and you can poke your eye out on one. So I grow mine up strings, and as they grow, rather than tie them in, I just wind the string around the plant and keep going like that until you've got a nice little spiral of string all the way around your plant. This is nice string. You can use not very nice string, but it must be strong string because they do get very heavy and the plants themselves are quite weedy. However, what you want to do with them? Well, they're flowering nicely. I've got the first truss set on them. This is a variety called Gardener's Delight. It's an old variety, but this is my clone of it because I've been collecting the seeds for a few years, and I always collect the seeds that do best in my garden, in my cultivation conditions, and I take the best ones, the best looking fruit, the ones that have resisted disease the best, and they're the seeds I collect. So over the years you end up with a Gardener's Delight suited perfectly to your growing conditions. Right, because of the nature of Gardener's Delight, I have to take these little axial shoots out, and they come out quite easily and they grow back quite easily. And pick them out and throw them away. And again, here these little axial shoots, all of them need taking out these leaf axils, and there they go, all the way down. Never forget the bottom ones because you often find that they grow the fastest. Then you look at the leaves. I'm going to leave the leaves on for now because they're still working well, but when the bottom leaves start to yellow up, you want to cut them off. Some people break them off. The only trouble with some of these varieties is that when you break them off and pull them, you pull a long piece of skin with them, which isn't quite so good. So I would cut them off with a pair of secateurs, and that just keeps the air flowing around the tomatoes. They are prone to potato blight and tomato virus, and an odd thing we had in the polytunnel one year, which is there's even a moth that lays eggs on them. You have huge great caterpillars. So these are growing quite nicely. I should get a crop of nice sweet tomatoes. Keep winding round like that. Something you have to do all the while, and the higher they get, the more they hang on. And these will grow nicely and produce me not a vast crop, but it's always a nicer crop if you grow it yourself because it's fresher. It actually tastes of tomatoes. The big disappointing thing about when you buy tomatoes in the supermarket, they often don't taste of much. And the reason why is because they're picked green, and on their long journey to the supermarket shelves they ripen off. So they never get that ripened on the vine taste to them. And that's really what you want if you're going to bother to grow them yourself. Okay, well, I've got one or two other things in here, some peppers and some cucumbers, but they're really nothing to look at the minute, and they're quite slow. Over a little while they do come on a lot better. And by the way, I got my little friend come to see me. There's a baby blackbird down there, so he's hopping around. He's hoping that I'll turn over some worms or something like that. Very quiet they are. And that's another thing you must never do. You must never stick buckets of water and fill them up and leave them around the garden. Blackbirds, especially when they're babies, tend to need to drink, and they often fall in and can't get out again. So the pond's not too bad because there are stones all the way around it and they can get out. Anything they can't get out of, you might end up with a sad little body floating in it. Anyway, that's it for now. I've waffled on long enough and it's time to get growing. So come on, off you go. You go and get your tomato plants and get them all sorted. This is Vince on the Grow Joe, signing out. Stay safe and keep growing.